Welcome to EduCasts, home of EduCasters. The landscape of education, once dominated by the passive transmission of knowledge from lecturer to student, has fundamentally shifted. For much of history, the classroom was a place of quiet reception, where success was measured by the capacity to recall information delivered by an authority figure. However, in the 20th century, a powerful alternative came to the fore, the idea that true lasting knowledge isn't simply received, but is created by the learner. Central to this paradigm shift stands David A. Kolb's experiential learning theory, ELT, first rigorously outlined in his seminal 1984 work, Experiential Learning, Experience as the Source of Learning and Development. Kolb's theory offers more than just a pedagogical suggestion. It presents a comprehensive meta-theory about how human beings learn, adapt, and develop. ELT fundamentally defines learning as the process whereby knowledge is created through the transformation of experience. This concise definition holds profound implications for how we design curricula, facilitate classroom discussions, and, crucially, understand the individual differences that students bring to the table. In essence, Kolb helped us get our heads around the dynamic relationship between a student's internal world, their feelings and thoughts, and the external reality of their actions and observations. We will delve into the intricacies of Kolb's experiential learning theory, examining its intellectual lineage, dissecting the four-stage learning cycle, analyzing the four resultant learning styles, and exploring its vast and enduring influence on educational practice, especially in K-12, higher education, and professional training. We will see that ELT is not just a passing trend. It is a timeless framework that compels educators to move beyond mere book smarts and focus on cultivating genuine, adaptive, and holistic competence in their students, preparing them not just to pass a test, but to hit the ground running in life and career. Kolb's theory did not emerge in a vacuum. It is a brilliant synthesis, a conceptual knitting together of ideas from three foundational 20th century thinkers, John Dewey, Kurt Lewin, and John Piaget. Understanding this lineage is key to appreciating why ELT is so powerful and holistic. John Dewey and the primacy of experience. From the philosopher and educational reformer John Dewey, Kolb borrowed the absolute conviction that education must be rooted in experience. Dewey, who believed that democracy and education were inextricably linked, famously argued that education is not preparation for life, it is life itself. Dewey's work, particularly Experience and Education, 1938, established that genuine learning occurs when individuals interact with and reconstruct their environment. Experience, for Dewey, was a transactional two-part process. The learner acts upon the world, and the world acts upon the learner. Kolb took this to heart, integrating Dewey's emphasis on the necessity of action and reflection. Dewey provided the crucial starting point, concrete experience, CE. Without genuine, messy, real-world engagement, there is nothing for the learner to process. Kolb's model, therefore, is fundamentally Deweyan in its demand that education must be practical, relevant, and engaging, moving beyond ivory tower theorizing. Kurt Lewin and the Action Research Cycle. The social psychologist Kurt Lewin contributed the structural and cyclical element of the theory. Lewin, often cited as the father of action research, developed the change process model, unfreeze, change, refreeze. More directly relevant to Kolb was Lewin's cyclical model of empirical science and human learning, experience, reflection, generalization, testing, experience. Lewin was adamant that nothing is as practical as a good theory, but that theories must be tested and refined through action. This cyclical, back-and-forth movement between theory and practice, between abstract thought and concrete application, provided Kolb with the essential dynamism of his model. Lewin's emphasis on the field of forces acting on an individual and the need to actively intervene and test hypotheses directly translates into Kolb's final stage, active experimentation, AE. It's the constant tension between these opposing forces, action and reflection, that keeps the wheels turning in the learning process. Jean Piaget and cognitive development. Finally, the developmental psychologist Jean Piaget provided the cognitive and developmental underpinning. Piaget's theories of cognitive development introduced the concept of adaptation through assimilation, fitting new experiences into existing cognitive structures, and accommodation, changing existing cognitive structures to fit new experiences. This process is, at its core, a constant transformation of experience. Kolb adapted Piaget's ideas to describe learning not just as a one-time event, but as a lifelong, continuous process of adaptation. For Kolb, learning is developmental. As students cycle through the 4 stages, they not only acquire new knowledge, but also develop more complex, specialized, and flexible capabilities in each of the 4 areas. This focus on the internal psychological mechanisms of processing experience ensures that ELT is not just a model of instruction, but a model of human development. In synthesizing these 3 giants, Kolb created something profoundly new. He formalized the process into a single, elegant, and practical framework, ready to be put into practice by educators worldwide. The 4-stage experiential learning cycle, ELC. The heart of Kolb's experiential learning theory is the 4-stage cycle. Kolb posits that for complete and integrated learning to occur, the learner must pass through all 4 modes, or, more accurately, engage in a continuous, spiraling loop. This cycle resolves the fundamental tension in learning between the concrete experience, grasping via apprehension, and abstract conceptualization, grasping via comprehension, and between reflective observation, transforming via intention, and active experimentation, transforming via extension. The cycle is typically presented visually as a circle with 4 quadrants, emphasizing its continuous nature. Stage 1. Concrete experience, feeling. The learning cycle kicks off with concrete experience. This is the stage of immersion, of direct, raw, hands-on involvement. It involves genuinely experiencing an event, a situation, or a task without immediate judgment or analysis. This stage emphasizes the feeling aspect of learning. Learners rely on their 5 senses and intuitive grasp of the moment. Action, doing a lab experiment, participating in a role-playing exercise, working on a team project, traveling to a new city, or being immersed in a simulation. Key characteristics: openness, receptiveness, non-judgmental immersion, reliance on gut feelings, and dealing with complexity as it is presented. Educational goal: to provide a rich, real, or realistic experience. For example, in a nursing program, CE is the student's first time taking a patient's vital signs under pressure. They are simply doing it, using their existing knowledge and intuition. Stage 2. Reflective observation. R. Watching. Immediately following the concrete experience, the learner steps back. They hit the pause button to engage in reflective observation. This stage involves reviewing the experience, processing what happened, and looking at it from various perspectives. The learner asks, what happened? What did I see? How did I feel? What worked and what didn't? Action. Writing a journal entry about the lab results, debriefing the role play with classmates, watching a video recording of a presentation, or receiving feedback from a mentor. Key characteristics: careful listening, patient observation, deep thought, acknowledging discrepancies between expectation and reality. It's about understanding the meaning of the experience. Educational goal: to encourage self-assessment and perspective-taking. Following the vital signs experience, the nursing student sits down with their preceptor and discusses the procedure. I noticed my hands were shaking, and I struggled to hear the heartbeat over the other noises in the room. They are observing their own performance and the situational dynamics. Stage 3, abstract conceptualization, AC, thinking. The observations and reflections from the previous stage are then moved into the realm of abstract conceptualization. This is the stage where the learner connects the dots. They use logic, ideas, and theory to make sense of the observed reality. This involves generalizing the experience, creating hypotheses, building conceptual models, and linking the specific event to broader, established theories. Action: reading the textbook chapter on the standard protocol for taking vitals, developing a flowchart, formulating a principle. Example: anxious learners often experience somatic effects that interfere with fine motor skills. or creating a mathematical model to explain data. Key characteristics: logical analysis, systematic planning, intellectual understanding, and integrating new information into a coherent framework. Educational goal: to help learners derive general rules and theories from specific instances. The student now reviews the standard textbook protocol, theory, and compares it to their observed performance, reflection, concluding, "The noise was a variable I hadn't accounted for. I need to conceptualize a system for noise cancellation or time management in a busy ward." They're generating a conceptual framework. Stage 4, active experimentation, AE, doing. The final stage closes the loop and sets the stage for the next cycle. In active experimentation, the learner uses the newly formed concepts and theories, AC, to inform future actions. This involves planning, testing hypotheses, and making decisions. The learner takes their general understanding and applies it back to the world, essentially saying, if this theory is right, then this should happen. Action: volunteering to take vital signs again, but this time intentionally trying the new noise cancellation method, covering one ear, designing a new component in a CAD program, or implementing a new team communication protocol. Key characteristics: risk-taking, committing to action, influencing the environment, and utilizing the theory as a guide for problem-solving. Educational goal: to provide opportunities to test and refine concepts in a new context. The nursing student goes back to the simulation lab and practices taking the vitals, deliberately implementing the new noise management strategy. They are actively experimenting to see if the new theory, AC, works better in the real world, CE for the next cycle. The spiraling nature of learning. It is vital to stress that the ELC is not a one-and-done process. It's a continuous spiral. Every active experimentation, AE, becomes the new concrete experience, CE for the next cycle. Learning is therefore a recursive and iterative process. The whole cycle is meant to be revisited repeatedly, each pass leading to deeper understanding and more sophisticated behavioral adaptation. Mastery, in Kolb's view, is the ability to navigate this cycle quickly, flexibly, and effectively. This cyclical design helps learners get the hang of complex skills over time, moving from novice to expert.